Hello, everyone. This is Crypto Bit Law, back with your blockchain legal brief. And today we're going to discuss a potential lawsuit regarding a Bitcoin mining operation out of Tennessee that could set important precedent for Bitcoin miners in the future. But before we dive in, please, if you enjoy this content, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We would really appreciate that, and that would help us grow and get this message out as we move forward. But with that said, let's dive right on in. All right, so as we can see here, Decrypt reports that Tennessee Bitcoin miner faces a lawsuit over noise complaints. Mayor Joe Grandy was warned about the mine last summer, but failed to take action. Now, citizens are taking action. They say Nashville, Tennessee might be the home of American country music, but in the eastern county of Washington, residents are under oral assault by the churn of a round-the-clock Bitcoin mining operation. Local electric utility company, Bright Ridge, leases the property in question to Bitcoin mining outfit Red Dog Technologies. The county is now filing a lawsuit against both Red Dog and Bright Ridge to shut down the mine. The case kicks off today and may take 3 days to conclude. Judge John Rambo, that's a really cool name, John Rambo, is tasked with deciding the verdict. Red Dog's mining operation first hit local news last October, when a resident filed a civil lawsuit complaining that the mine unreasonably interferes with their use and enjoyment of their property. The mine runs from 8 p.m. to 2 p.m. on weekdays. After 8 p.m. on Fridays, it mines Bitcoin non-stop throughout the weekend. Residents complain of a loud hum coming from the facility. The mine has been in local Mayor Joe Grandy's crosshairs since last summer when the district planning administrator informed him that the mine didn't comply with zoning regulations and the county could shut it down through the courts. Grandy, who represents the county of Bright Ridge's board of directors, was apparently hesitant to take action. Last autumn, the county's planning commission voted unanimously to shut down the facility if the power company failed to comply. Should the county succeed in shutting down the mine, the case could set a precedent for many other regions across the U.S. where mining operations are cropping up. All right, so doing a little deeper dive as to what's going on with this case, we have a local news agency who had a report on it, and here we can see a copy of the mine. They're described as data pods for the Red Dog Technologies Bitcoin mine adjacent to these roads in just kind of rural parts of Tennessee. And a big part of the issues in this case has to deal with how this particular area where the mine is situated is zoned, right? So, you could have a zoning issue, whether something is zoned commercial or zoned residential. You can only have a certain type of business or entity on that particular property. So we see here it says planning administrator Angie Charles shared her opinion in a June 4th email that the Bitcoin mining was not a permitted use under rezoning power distributor Bright Ridge was granted in February of 2020. Someone wrote to their attorney that the use of crypto mining by a private company is not permitted on the property. And here we could see general zoning regulations with regards to how the particular land is to be used based on how it is zoned. So the plaintiffs in this case could have a good argument if a court were to find that actual Bitcoin mining wasn't a proper use of that property where the mine is housed based on how that property is zoned. So continuing on, we could see here, this states that noise complaints from the neighbors in May first spurred Washington County Commissioners to revisit their approval of a February 2020 Bright Ridge request to rezone the land from A1, which is agriculture, to A3, which is agriculture business. So if you had a agricultural business-based zoning, then naturally you would be able to have more noise and actual business occurring on that property rather than just, the quiet, tranquil nature of something that's just purely agricultural, growing corn or something like that. If you have agricultural business, then you could have corn milling or tractors running and rolling, that sort of thing. So also, it's worthwhile to consider, the basis of this nuisance issue that the residents are complaining about. It states Carol Broyles, who lives on S.G. Hensley Road, about a mile from the Bitcoin mine, sued Red Dog in Washington County Circuit Court on August 13th. Also named as a plaintiff is Quality Properties, a general partnership that owns more than 200 acres of agricultural property near Broyles' 5.6-acre residential property. the lawsuit filed by Rick Bearfield claims noise from the mine, quote, constitutes a nuisance which unreasonably interferes with the plaintiff's use and enjoyment of her property. It claims that constant and continual noise increases at night, that it's excessive, and that it can be heard at all times, not just from the plaintiff's properties, but in the surrounding community. The suit describes the noise as above normal levels for talking and sleeping at Broyles' home and in the surrounding community, and it causes Broyles and others to live in positive discomfort. The suit requests that the court order Red Dog to quit operating the mine, or to, quote, abate the noise to a level that does not interfere with the use and enjoyment of the Broyles parcel and the quality parcels. It also asks for a jury trial and awards of both personal damages and damages for the diminution in value or rental value of the Broyles parcel resulting from the nuisance. In an answer filed September 13th, attorney Christopher Owens denied that the noise was excessive. All right, so a few things. It appears that from the previous article, this thing is actually going to a judge trial, so a bench trial rather than a jury trial. I feel like if the plaintiffs actually had a jury trial, I feel like this would be more of a slam dunk case, because if you have a jury of your peers who are also community members in this small community, then they would be more likely to sympathize with other community members who are subject to this nuisance rather than a Bitcoin mining firm, right? And so that's just one point of note. The other thing is that, if this woman who is party to this lawsuit is claiming she can hear the noise from over a mile away, then that's loud. I mean, and I can empathize with this woman. I mean, how would you feel if you had like a constant hum just slowly permeating through the ether at all hours of the day? That would just kind of mess up your normal livelihood. And I guess the other point is that this lawsuit is based in what's known as Nuisance Law, right? And so nuisance has been used before as a legal doctrine for people to bring a cause of action based on their property rights. And so this has happened before, where individuals would sue others based on nuisance for noxious smells coming out of certain property that would permeate through an area onto another property. And so it was cause a loss of enjoyment of property without an actual physical invasion. The physical invasion would be a trespass, and then the private nuisance would be the other frame of the cause of action. So as we can see here, no matter what the type of nuisance, to be subject to injunctive relief, where an injunction is a court telling a person or entity to refrain, to stop from doing something, that is injunctive relief. The interference with the property must be substantial and continuous. Relief that is injunctive in nature generally requires the defendant to take some specific actions to minimize the negative effect of its operation on the plaintiff, from limiting the hours of the action to placing an all-out prohibition on the negative action. In constructing its relief, however, most courts will attempt to balance the relative hardships to both of the parties involved in the action, especially where an ongoing business, as opposed to an individual, is the defendant in the action. The court will try to minimize the economic impact on the business. So, based on this, I could see how, I think the most likely aspect or outcome from this would, rather than shut down the mining operation, the court would order the Bitcoin mining farm to place soundproofing technology to lower the level of volume, the volume of the miners, to a reasonable level that can't be heard from a mile away, and actually abate the level of sound. I know that this has happened too, even in my jurisdiction, where you'll have these late night clubs that'll play music into the early morning hours, and then neighbors would actually file for injunctive relief against the club based on a violation of property rights, founded in Nuisance Law, where they say, hey, the fact that you're being loud in your club and making all this noise with this music is prohibiting me from enjoying my property. And so the court would order the club to shut off music at a certain time, or increase their level of soundproofing technology. So all in all, I think this is an interesting case. I feel like it could have some sort of implications. It's not in federal court, right? So this is in a local state court. So what happened here, it wouldn't be binding on other courts. It would just serve as a persuasive authority, if you will. So if someone else were to bring a nuisance action against a Bitcoin mining farm, they could point to a verdict or an outcome in this case and say, hey, court, yeah, I have my Bitcoin mining nuisance claim about how loud this Bitcoin mining farm is, and here is another case where a court decided okay, Bitcoin farm, you are too loud. You need to lower the volume of your farm. So please give me similar relief. And I think a court would likely do that. So all in all, interesting stuff. We hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate that. You could also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @CryptoBitLaw. And let us know what you think about this in the comments down below. I mean, would you get upset having to live within the vicinity of a Bitcoin mining farm with a constant hum? I know I would kind of get upset. So, yeah, that's really interesting. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.